Hey everybody, welcome back to Grandma's Corner, where you have been watching all kinds of videos that I've been putting out there, and thank you so much for supporting my cause, and thank you for subscribing to my channel, Grandma's Corner 2020. So today we are going to learn about something very interesting and near and dear to my heart. I grew up Russian Orthodox, and I'm Slovakian, and we grew up with a lot of traditional foods and traditional activities and lots of traditions that we have around the holidays, one of which is Pysanky. Now, Pysanky is nothing more than beautifully decorated eggs. Now, these eggs have lots of intricate designs on them, and they are a project that takes a long time. And there are a lot of ingredients or a lot of parts to this, and this is a project that you can plan on investing a little bit of money into, but once you make that investment, you can do these for years and years and years. So let me tell you a little bit about what Pysanky is. Ukrainian Easter egg decorating has been handed down through generations of the Ukrainian people. So the Ukraine is in the same area where my family grew up, in the Eastern European area. They are famous the world over for their colorful Easter eggs called Pysanky. Over 2,000 years ago, before the time of Christ, people decorated eggs believing that the great powers were embodied in the egg. To them, eggs symbolized the release of the earth from the shackles of winter and the coming of spring with its promise of new hope, new life, and prosperity. With the advent of Christianity, Easter eggs symbolize the resurrection and a promise of eternal life. Legend has it that as long as Pysanky are decorated, goodness will prevail over evil throughout the world. Pysanky are not made to be eaten. They are given as gifts, exchanged with friends, and used as decorations year-round. So, thinking about goodness prevailing over evil, during this time right now that I'm making this video, we are sheltering in due to the COVID-19 virus. And I was thinking of projects that I could do that would be uplifting and give us some promise and some hope. And I was thinking that maybe this wonderful art of Pysanky might be something you'd be interested in. I made these eggs years and years and years ago, and I have made them over time. Obviously, some of the earlier ones are not quite as attractive, but nonetheless, they are really a work of art, and I very much enjoy them. Oftentimes, you can put symbols on here. You can have a nature theme, you can have animals, you can have just geometric figures. And what you probably want to do, rather than just going willy-nilly and trying to figure this all out, you may want to get yourself some books that have to do with this art. Here's one that I've had, Ukrainian design book, and it has wonderful, wonderful designs inside. And it's kind of a how-to book. So they start you off with the egg being plain, and they say, okay, make some marks that look like this and then like this, and you kind of follow the directions if you choose to. Or you can get yourself maybe a sheet that looks like this, and if you're pretty artsy-craftsy, you can go from looking at this to creating it. I kind of am a paint by number gal. Here's another one, Ukrainian Easter egg design book number 2. You can find these oftentimes in craft stores or Certainly online, you can look on Amazon and type in Ukrainian eggs or type in Pysanky. And I'll even write the word Pysanky down for you because it is a Slovak term. Here it is, folks. Pysanky, P-Y-S-A-N-K-Y. That's how you spell Pysanky. That's the egg. The other thing that I purchased many, many years ago, way back when my great Aunt Sue Barony taught me the love of this art and this craft and this, art that we've done in our culture. Years ago, I invested in this package, and inside of it kind of got me started. So in this box, there are some things you need. The most important tool that you need is called a kista. Here's how you spell kista. K-I-S-T-A, kista. And these are kistas. They come in different sizes. They have funnels. And in this funnel, you're going to put the other thing that you need is beeswax. That's the ingredient that you use. You take off, you heat this up a little bit and you scrape in a little bit of beeswax, and then over an open flame, you're going to keep your kista warm and then start decorating your egg. And we'll get into that in a bit. In any case, there are different sizes, so the funnels have different size holes at the end. So if you're doing a big fat line, you can get away with a funnel that's a little bit bigger. If you have very, very intricate lines, you're going to want to have more of a fine one. Now there are different kinds of kistas. These kistas have plastic handles and the metal end. I also have these kistas. These are the more traditional kistas, and they come in different sizes also. You still have funnels at the end wrapped with copper wire, but they're on wooden dowels. And they still have a hole in the middle that you shove some beeswax in, heat it over an open flame, and then get it melted, and then immediately start making your designs. The other thing that you need are dyes. Now, you can't use just regular food dye because these dyes are very special and very bright and very strong, and they hold really well. And this package, I believe, came with a variety of dyes as well. I've collected so much stuff over the years, sometimes I forget what's in these packages, but you can certainly look online and maybe on Amazon, or just type in Pysanky or Ukrainian Egg Art and see what other links you can come to. So you want to get a variety of colors. You don't have to have a ton of them. I mean, I have probably 30 different colors here. All you need to do is get maybe 4 or 5 that are essential, but if you're gonna really dive into this program and do this art, you're gonna probably want to invest in more dye. You want to start off with a very light colored dye, so I always start with a yellow, and you're gonna go through different stages, and then you're gonna always end up with black. So black is a very important color, and I believe yellow is a very important color. And then you're gonna have colors in between. But you always have to remember, you're gonna go from light to dark with each of the dips that you make. We'll get into that too. All right, so we talked about the beeswax, the kistas, we talked about having the dye. Now, what else is important? Well, you gotta have eggs. I'm gonna show you a variety of eggs, and then I'm gonna tell you which ones I think are the best. All right, so let's look and talk about eggs. Look at them. So there are all kinds of eggs that you can choose from, and some are gonna be a smarter choice than others. Well, you have an ostrich egg. That's a possibility. You have big goose eggs. That's a possibility. Not the kind you get on your head, but the kind that comes out of a goose. You also have, oh my gosh, there's another whopper. I don't even know what that is. That might be another goose egg. Then I also have, well, what else is in here? I have a regular chicken egg. Now, you notice that these are white. White is the best color because you want to have that contrast of your dyes against whatever you decide to leave white. So I would not recommend brown eggs or green eggs. I mean, you can certainly experiment and see how they come out, but I prefer the white egg background. So here are some of the colored ones. Here's a green one. You might be okay working with that. Here's a brown one. You can give it a whirl, but I'm going to stick to the white ones. Now, as far as size, I think chicken eggs size are the best. I have with some students used duck eggs and goose eggs before. The only thing you have to make sure is that whatever container you're going to put your dye in, your egg has to be totally submerged under the liquid. So if I were going to use this big goose egg, that's fine, but I have to have enough dye to keep it submerged. That's why sometimes these smaller eggs are a little bit easier. You don't have to use as much dye. So for today, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this egg that I have had sitting around for quite some time. Now, there are two thoughts about your eggs. Do you want to have an egg that has the yolk and the white inside, or do you want to blow out the egg? Well, there are different thoughts about that. I prefer to keep eggs around and let them dry out naturally inside. So this egg has not been blown, and there is a dried egg inside, but it's also years and years and years old. You can use a fresh egg. You're just gonna have to be super careful. So keep that in mind. The other thing is that you're gonna wanna make sure your egg is nice and clean, and you wanna make sure your hands are clean. Always wash your hands before you handle any of the eggs, because if you have any cream on your hands, that's gonna put a little oil on here and the wax is not gonna stick to it. So hands have to be clean, the egg has to be cleaned, and then you're ready to start. Now, I had mentioned earlier that you're going to need an open flame, and the reason why is because when you put the wax on your egg, you have to make sure that the little pieces of beeswax that go inside the keister get melted. So when you shove a piece in there, you've got to warm up the keister over the open flame. I happen to use one of these, and it has paraffin lamp oil inside of it. You can also use a candle if you want. You're just gonna have to be super careful. This is like an OSHA thing where you're gonna have to be mindful of what you're using and use it safely. So I've got my flame going here, and I'm gonna put it off to the side. And I'm going to choose today to use this egg that I have had, whoops, sorry for the shake, shake, shake. Well, I have been drying for years. Now, when I say that you have a choice between using an egg that has the yolk and the protein, the white inside still, or you can blow it out, there are a couple of ways that you can blow an egg out. Here's a tool that you take the tip off, and it has a needle. And the idea behind this is that you're going to take your egg and you're going to put the needle in here and create a hole, and then you're going to create a hole at this end also, and then you push that down and you blow the air, and the egg will come out from the other end. I am going to tell you, however, that's not such a great technique, so I have found another way of blowing eggs out. You see one of these little skewers? This is the kind of skewer that you use on a turkey or a chicken where you keep the butt end closed after you stuff it. Well, if you cut the end of an egg and put a hole in the end here, and put a hole in the end here, shove that thing inside and give it a good whirl, because you gotta break up that yolk. If you don't break that yolk up, folks, that yolk's not gonna wanna come out of there. So once you do that and you create your hole, now remember, it's a tiny hole. It doesn't have to be the size of a nickel. It's gotta be small, just a tiny little hole, maybe the size of an eraser head. And then you're going to blow that egg out into a container or receptacle. Or sorry about that interruption. All right, so you're gonna blow that egg out, and now you'll have a hollow egg. The only issue with a hollow egg is that it is much more delicate. So you're gonna have to be super careful about it. At least if the egg is not compromised and doesn't have a hole at either end and the stuff is out of it, it seems to be a little bit tougher. So your choice. Sometimes as years go by, and I've had this happen, if I don't blow an egg out, then the gases inside as the egg is rotting, sometimes if it gets bumped just the right way, it will explode. So that's part of making these Ukrainian egg art eggs, Pysanky. That's the fun of it. Will it explode or will it not explode after 3 hours of design work? All right, let's get started. I'm going to put my glasses on only because I'm thinking that I should probably really pay attention to what I'm doing. All right, I've got 3 different sizes. I'm going to start with the large kista. I'm just going to heat it up a little tiny bit with my flame, and I'm going to scrape some beeswax into this. Now let's see if you can see that. See that little clump that's in there? All right. Now I'm going to heat just the tip of the kista, which is the metal, and I have an idea in my head that I'm going to divide my egg in half, north to south, all the way around. That's going to be my first move, folks. So let's see if we can do that together. And fortunately, when you do this, there's some carbon that comes off of the wax, so you can see yourself a little line. How about that? Whoop, I got a little drip going there. And so sometimes you have to do it fast because you will sometimes get a little naughty chunk of beeswax that will make a lump instead of a nice line. All right, so I basically have divided that into half. Now I'm going to have it the other way also. So essentially I'll have an east-west half and another east-west half, I guess. Dividing it into 4 sections. And you know what? This wax dries pretty darn fast, so you can move that pretty fast. All right, see how that's divided into 4 sections? Okay, so now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it along the equator. See? There's my equator. I'm going to go all the way around the egg with the line. I'm still using the large kista. And so now I have sections. And with the sections, what's nice about that is you can decide what you want to do in each section. Now, here's what you have to keep in mind. Everywhere that you put beeswax right now, that is going to stay white. So, not only are you thinking about a design, but you're also having to think ahead about what colors you want to have exposed. So everywhere that I have wax right now is going to be white. So I am going to see these lines as white. So I have to think now, in each of these sections, do I want any more white? Do I want white flowers, white geometric shapes? Do I want anything religious on there? Do I want doodles? Well, let's see. I do want a little bit more white, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep going. Now, I did notice that I've run out of wax, so I'm going to put another chunk of wax in there. You can either scrape it into the keister hole like this, or just take a piece off with your fingernail and jam it in there. I do it both ways. Depends on whatever I'm thinking about at the moment. All right, got to heat that up a little bit. If you feel like there's too much carbon building up, then just take a paper towel, wipe it off. Yeah, see that coming off? That's from the flame. All right, so let's see. What else do I want to have white here? I think I'm going to make some geometric shapes here. All right. You know what? I think I need a little bit more wax. Sometimes you think you got this thing all under control, and guess who's fooled? Now, this is not a project you're going to get done lickety-split, let me tell you. Some of these finer ones that I've done have taken 3 hours. It's a good rainy day activity, that's for sure. All right, so you heat it up a little bit, and you decide where you want these lines to go. All right, so I've made a little triangular shape there. I think I'm going to match it since I'm symmetrical. What I did to the top, I do to the bottom. Woo! All right, we got something going there. Now remember, these are all going to be white. So let's see. I think I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. All right, I think I'm going to put some dots in here. Boy, I'm breathing heavy and that flame's going flying. This does take a steady hand, folks. So if you've got the jitters and you've had too much coffee, I'd really hold back a little bit. All right, see, I've got that going there. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over and, you know, what I do to the left, I do to the right. Sounds like what I tell my students in math. Oh, cool. Okay, so now I've got those dots and I've got these dots. I've got this going on the top. I've got this going on the bottom. Is there anything else that I want to have done in white is what I'm asking myself. Okay, so I've worked on this a little bit more and I'll show you some of the designs I made. Now remember, everywhere that I have beeswax right now is going to be white. Didn't do much with the top or the bottom, but I did around. So here comes the dyeing part of it. No, you're not gonna dye, you're gonna dye, D-Y-E. All right, we're starting with yellow. So you need to get yourself a spoon, or you know how when you make Easter eggs and you dye them, you have this cool little wire thing? Well, you don't wanna drop your egg in there because remember, if you have your egg inside and you hit rock bottom fast, you may crack it, and you don't want that to happen. Now, remember I told you that this egg has been around for a while? Well, the inside of it is dry, and so the egg is floating around. So I have to hold it under this dye until I get the right color that I want. So I'm gonna have to come back, folks, because I may sit here for a few minutes and you don't want to sit here and be bored with me. So hang on to your britches. Okay, so my little egg's been bobbing around here and I had to push that thing down and put some weight in there and get it to stay submerged because it was like flying all over the place. All right, I'm gonna take that egg out now and I'm gonna give it just a good dab and then we're ready for the next bit of design. All right, so remember, everywhere that the dye sits, or not the dye, the wax, sorry, sits right now, when that wax is wiped off at the end, that's going to be white. Now you have to decide, where do you want yellow? So this is where you're thinking ahead of the game. Now everywhere that you put wax with your kista, that is now going to be yellow. So think about that. All right, I'm heating my kista up, and I'm going to get going on some designs. Now I haven't done much with the top or the bottom, so I think I'm going to head onto that area and start thinking about what I want to do. Oh, drip, drip, pay attention, pay attention. Wow. See, that's what happens when you're not paying attention. Okay, so now what do I want yellow? Well, I think that I'm going to get maybe some floral designs in there in the top. Little yellow flowers. Wow, I think I melted all that wax out of there. Okay, so I've got some flowers going here, because those are going to be yellow. And, okay, not bad. Got some flowers going. All right, let's do the same for the bottom. Get some flowers in there. And I'm going to start thinking about what else I want to have yellow on my egg. And it would help if I could see. So, yeah, back to my cheaters. Here we go. Oh, that's right. Those are flowers, not clowns. All right, let's see what else I'm going to do here. So I had originally put some design like that. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some dots in between where I already had that will be white. So now it looks like it's going to be yellow and white. Ooh. I'm sure you can see why this now takes 3 hours, or it could. So now I've got double the dots as opposed to what I had on the other side. But it is going to be a white, yellow string of dots. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep doing this and do all of the wax for the yellow, whatever I want in yellow. And then we'll come back and see where we're at next. So now I'm done with the yellow. I have all the designs on here that I want to have be yellow. And now I'm going to think about what I want to be orange, because that's my next color. I'm now going to put this into my orange, and I'm going to have to let that sit for quite some time to absorb that color, because I'm already noticing that it's not going to take lickety-split, so I'm probably going to have to let it sit in there for 10, 15, 20 minutes. But I'll get back to you. I'm going to let it sit into the orange and think about what designs I want to be orange. So be patient, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so now I'm back, and I have my egg in the orange dye, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that out, because it's been in there for quite some time. Now, you know, the thing about dyes is you have to decide how long you want it in there based on how bright a color you want. So it really is an individual's choice. Alrighty, folks, look at this. So now we've got this egg that has an orange glow to it. And now I have to think about, what am I going to do in terms of a design that is going to capture the orange? Well, let me get my kista heated up again, because I've got some hot beeswax I've got to get in there. All right, orange. What are we going to do with this one? I'm going to make a few little fun decorations in here. Little spots. Maybe some geometric shapes filling in some of the nooks and cranny here. All right, we've got some orange things going here. It's actually kind of fun because at the end, when you wipe all of this wax off, you go back and you think, oh yeah, I remember when I did all of that. And you didn't quite know how it was going to turn out. Unless you follow some of the directions from already designed Pysanky, then you're going to know how it's going to turn out. Otherwise, it's kind of a crapshoot. All right, but cool. Oh, yeah, this is going to be great. So the next color that I'm going to put in is going to be a dark green, and then my final color will be black. So I'm just going to do a few more little blobs here to represent the orange, and then I'll finish this up and we'll put it in the green, and then we'll go from there. Alrighty, hang in there with me. You're doing a good job. Be patient. I'll be right back. Okay, folks, so I've got myself some wild and crazy designs on here all over. Everywhere that I thought I might want to have orange, I would put some beeswax. So it's starting to look really unattractive right now, but that's okay because we're going to get this now into the dark green dye. And then we're going to do the same thing over again. So, hey, cheers! Okay, I'm back and I'm ready to take my egg out of the dark green dye. Now, this is really not attractive, but have faith and believe me, it's really going to be very cool when we're done with all this. So I'm going to dry this off now, and I want you to take a look. There's the color now, and then look at all of the beeswax on there. It's a ton! And sometimes you get lost in your designs, you forget what way you're going, you lose your train of thought, but you know what? Keep forging forward, and it's going to be amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and put some designs on here thinking now, what do I want to have for my dark green colors before I do the final dip of black? So I'm going to go ahead and do some designs, and you just hold on. Okay, I'm back again. I thought you probably thought you were going to get rid of me. So here we go. Here's the green. And as you can see, there is so much wax on here. It looks like one big egg of beeswax. So cool. All right, final dippity-do coming. We're going to put it in the black, and we're going to let it sit in there for a while, and then I'll come back, and I'm going to show you, we're going to take all that wax off, and you're going to see the coolest thing ever. Be patient, we're almost done. Okay, folks, this is the most exciting part ever. This is where we get to take the egg that has been in the black dye, and hopefully you're not spritzing it everywhere, and we're going to take that out, and we're going to wipe off all the moisture. Don't squeeze too hard because you don't want to, after all this work, break this thing. Now, if you want to have a darker background, a darker black, then by all means, go ahead and let it sit in there longer. All right, so now here comes the magic. You're now going to take the egg and you're going to put it over the flame and roll it around a little bit at a time, and then you're going to wipe it off. See what comes off of that? That's the soot from the flame and some of the wax that's coming off. So you just want to heat that up enough where it's melting, and then you're going to wipe it off. Now I want you to see, this is where the wax was, here's where it is, and I am now wiping this off. So I'm going to keep on going here. Moving it, moving it, moving it, and then wiping it. Get yourself a nice clean spot on that paper towel. You can use a cloth too, that would work well. Okay. Watch your little fingers so you don't end up singeing those. Okay, this is looking good. Because you can feel where the beeswax is when you're touching it with your fingers. So it's not that difficult to figure that out. Oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. Okay, look at that. I still have a bunch of, woo! Now see, this is exactly what happens when you're not careful. Okay, it broke, but you know what? I'm just going to continue taking it off because we worked so hard at decorating this, and we'll pretend like that never even happened. Thank goodness that wasn't a raw egg, that had been sitting there for years, because it's all dry inside. You know what? It's going to be fine, because when you put that in a basket, you're never going to see this behind the hole. The big old hole. Oh, goodness gracious, after all that work. What a shame. Okay, we are coming to an end now, wrapping that up. Okay, that's pretty much all off. So look at that, how beautiful that is. I'm going to put that flame out so I don't catch my hair on fire. That would be a nice ending. Isn't that beautiful? Wow, folks, see what you can do? Now, if you want to display these in little egg holders, I have a variety of egg holders. There's all kinds of these on the market, depending on what you like. There's another one right here. And if you don't want to display it in an egg holder like that, the other option is you can buy these pieces of metal that you glue on the top of the egg and you glue on the bottom, and the top has a ring and you can hang it by a string, and they make beautiful ornaments. So, hey, get your Pysanky going. You can make them for the next holiday coming up, which would be Christmas maybe, or get going ahead of time for Easter if you want, or just make them because you enjoy them. And last of all, Rashenka's Eggs is a book that I've always enjoyed, and it's all about the Ukrainian Pysanky. And I bought this many, many years ago, and I happened to be lucky enough to have the author of this book sign it for me and my kids. So lucky us, Rashenka's Eggs. So I hope you enjoyed this very long tutorial on how to make Pysanky. I am so proud of you for hanging in there. It is a very long process. This one took me all day only because I'm going back and forth and cutting pieces of video and putting it all together. So I figure it's about a 3-hour project. So if you have that kind of time to invest in a craft, this is a wonderful craft that will be memorable and admired by so many. So please subscribe to my channel. Tell the world about all these wonderful videos that I have, and get your Pysanky going. Woohoo! Thanks for watching, and you have a good day.